I'm like that old guy that just can't get off the schedule. We're going to the casino at noon. We're going to come back and have a nice meal, play bingo, and then go to bed.
Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, NFL Divisional Round, best bets, plus a teaser and a recap of how we did a week ago. Smash a like to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, and our good guy Tambo is giving away potentially 5% of his earnings at the King of the Desert DraftKings contest if he finishes inside the top 3 the week of the Waste Management Open for golf. He is giving away 5% of his winnings to people who enter the draw. Now, first prize is $500,000, so he's giving away 5 winners. That could be $5,000 a piece for 5 people if he wins. So it's a good reason to go root him on for one thing. But if you do want to get into the draw to be eligible to get some of that sweet, sweet money, all you need to do is subscribe to the Mayo Media newsletter. That's completely free. That's down in the description. That gives you 1 ballot. Other ways to get ballots: subscribe, turn on auto downloads, rate and review 5 stars the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. You do it on Apple Podcasts, that's another ballot. You do it on Spotify, that is another ballot that you can go cheer on old Tambo. And hopefully he comes in first place, and that would just be amazing both for him, for the show, and for at least 5 of you. That would be pretty fantastic. The Listeners League is now open as well. That is down in the description. Rob Pizzola, undefeated in Super Wildcard Weekend, 3-0 against the spread. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, the team that I root for got eliminated, and I can no longer wear gear of teams that I'm actually a fan of. This is why I've had to roll out the Winnipeg Jets hat today, because my teams suck, and it's really depressing.
The best is, Pat, I'm doing a show with your boy Camera 2. Drew goes, what about these people that like the Leafs and the Cowboys? I'm like, my cousin in Pizzola. Like, it's just like Pizzola, like, what a train wreck. And that division too, Pat, like, I've never, like, in my whole life, and we've been on the earth a long time, seen more of a gutless performance by a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, like a quarterback, like getting out of the way of blocks like a matador with a bull, and it was pathetic. Like, honestly, I don't know what it is, Pizzola. Maybe playing those losers in that division, the Giants and commies all year, doesn't really help your cause. But yeah, they bring back McCarthy for another year of torture.
You know what? I'm just resigned to the worst happen. Anything now that happens that's a positive, I'll just take it at this point. I mean, there's no sense in me as I'm going on a diatribe about the Cowboys. There's no sense in me like letting this affect my life in any way anymore. It's been the same thing going on 20 years plus for me in life. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And like at this point, it is what it is. But yeah, I'll take the win. I mean, I had a great football betting week last week. It's just it happened that my favorite team lost in the middle of it, and it kind of put a bit of a damper on the weekend.
Cam, you did well too. You were 2-1. I was 1-2, so I lost the week, but we swept the gold picks, and that's what matters.
I got to be honest, Pat, probably would have gone 3-0. I'm not even lying. I bet Miami out of spite, and I'm not doing that anymore. Pizzola brings up a great point. Who cares? If they're your team or not, we can't change results. And just because I don't want Kansas City to be there, like betting on Miami was just like stupid, especially watching that team play in the cold. I'm just like, no more. I don't care. You guys, Rod, great point by you. You don't have to worry about it. You know Dallas is losing every year. You don't have to bet on them. You can bet against them. Do whatever the hell you want. No offense, Jerry Jones on his freaking party yacht with all the fucking hookers. He's not paying for your mortgage, your life, anything like that. We can do what we got to do. Betting with your heart is a recipe for disaster and more heartbreak because you have less money. So it's a double whammy.
All right. Well, do you guys want to dig into what's going? We lost the teaser as well because I was the one who put Miami on it, so that was not.
Don't worry, Pat. I didn't even know what to say about that game either. That was just like, it's not like the Chiefs were like great offensively or anything. Miami's just, they reek. Like their offense, like Tua with that noodle arm, that's the one thing we got to remember with this guy. Like these quarterbacks with noodle arms in conditions, it doesn't work. That's the one thing I like about Josh Allen. The guy cuts glass, right? Like when you throw lasers, you got a nice chance in wind and cold conditions. He can just cut the elements, right? So anyway, that Dolphins performance, I was thinking about Pizzola on the sideline there, the child genius McDaniel. Yeah, take another hit of that vape pen. It's like the guy's never been in cold before. Fuck, I've lived in the Arctic. Guy like just staring at the Jumbotron all night, clueless. Have another smoke.
I mean, the Dolphins, I actually kind of feel bad for that. the Dolphins are like the Cowboys of the AFC. So I resonate with their fans, right? It's been a long time for them. Everything always seems to go wrong. They were this close. Like if they don't have catastrophic injuries on defense, they could end up with the 1 seed or potentially the 2 seed where they're hosting like 2 playoff games. It's a completely different story for that team if they're playing in Miami relative to having to go out on the cold. But the season just fell apart because of injuries for them. And you get Tua in a spot where like, yeah, you're right, Cam. Like watching him throw some of those ducks out there. It's
know what it is though? It's kind of like life. And I understand you're a warm weather team or whatever, but some of the players on the team went to cold weather schools. It's just, I look at certain teams, and Pat, I'll give you credit for a team that you and Pizzola actually agreed with you too. And I kind of like went, meh, like Tampa Bay. You can say what you want. Baker Mayfield is a tough fucking son of a bitch. This guy has taken it all year. He used to be in progressive commercials. We're like, why is this guy even like doing whatever? Nissan, Heisman room. And the guy has really like taken his life. He bet on himself and he's playing his ass off. He was the complete opposite of Jalen Hurts, who basically mailed it in. I know you're hurt, but you got to go down swinging. You got an off season. And when you play sports, you can't sell out the other guys on your team. It's like, I hate to say, I'm not going to compare it to war, but it is. It's like you're in the barracks with your guys and it's like, you got each other's back. No man left alone is the motto. And when I look at Tampa Bay play, and Pat, you pick them to win the division, they look like a team that like each other. And even when Otten drops balls, Mayfield doesn't go up and start ripping them and whatever, he'll come back to him. So it's one of those situations where you want to bet on teams that have good chemistry as well. It's not just about talent. And Philadelphia and Dallas, when I look at them, like, what the hell's going on? Like body language, you could tell early in these games, like what teams are checked in and checked out.
Well, I actually want to throw this out to you because we had this discussion on the Spread Pick show as it pertains to Tua. If it was you, Rob, would you sign him to an extension? Because I wouldn't.
Neither would I. We have like a couple ways of winning in the NFL that have worked over the past couple decades, right? You either have to find the elite quarterback, lock him up long term, or you have to build around a quarterback that's on a rookie deal and stockpile the roster with a bunch of good players. To me, Tua is not an elite quarterback, and I don't think he has the skill set ever to be an elite quarterback. The knock on him this year is everyone who's pointing to like his EPA numbers, his success numbers, would point out that a lot of this was yards after catch because he had an elite wide receiver group. And on top of that, a very good head coach in terms of scheming players open on offense. And you looked a lot of times over the course of the year like he's just throwing to open receivers. You are, though, in a very difficult boat, though, when you do get to that point where, like, we have a quarterback. He could be good enough to win, but he probably isn't. Are we ready to just scrap this all and start from scratch and find ourselves a new quarterback? Because there's just not elite quarterbacks that grow on trees or great ones that are on rookie deals. So ultimately, it's a tougher call than it seems. I personally don't think Tua is going to win a Super Bowl or can lead a team to a Super Bowl. I would not re-sign him.
Just a quick one, guys. I don't know if you could take a small contract, but I would give him a chance on a smaller deal. Like I would give him a small window, but I do agree with you. I think it's a major issue. And let's call it out for what it is. In football, it's a tough game. And this guy's had his head absolutely mangled. If you've never played sports before, like I've had multiple concussions, been beat up, like playing hockey, and it affects you. Like it really does. When you see lights, you get dizzy and things happen, right? And that's just me. This guy's a real athlete, not some clown that played at a minor league level. So I got to believe that a lot of these things in college at Alabama, he took hits, and now with Miami. But Pat and Rob, I'm not so quick to dismiss it. I understand it's a tough world, tough business. Hey, life's not fair. If you're not doing a good job, they'll get rid of you. No one cares, right? But the thing is, I would try to get him on a small deal, but I don't think him or his agent would appreciate a small deal, like betting on himself and try to, get better. But I just see his skill set as a diminishing one.
Well, the way I would look at it is he probably just had the best season he's ever going to have. He stayed completely healthy. He was like second in the league in terms of quarterbacks, in terms of EPA, Rob? Like, does it really get better than this?
No, again, you'd be paying at the top. The issue with the way that the NFL works nowadays, too, is that like a quarterback comes up and now he just wants the most money in the league, basically, or he's going to demand like top 5 money. And it's really challenging with Tua because he's not a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion. I mean, arguably, he's not even a top 10 quarterback. So when that happens, I just wouldn't pay him. The issue with, I get Cam's point, right? Because this happens in a lot of other sports where you have like this bridge deal, which is like kind of prove yourself type of thing. but there's so much money thrown around in the NFL. If the Dolphins don't pay him, he's just going to go get that contract somewhere else because there's so many teams in the league that are starved for a quarterback. So the Dolphins have no leverage basically in that situation. It's a tough call. They built the offense around him. They kind of utilize his skill set well. They get him running, throwing on the move a lot, and he does a lot of good things. Like, I'm not here to just trash the guy, but ultimately he's just not in that upper echelon for me. And once you pay him that big time contract, you are no longer able to afford Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You're maybe able to afford one of the two. You're no longer able to afford, Jalen Ramsey in the secondary plus another great defensive player. It really minimizes the chances that you're able to build a Super Bowl caliber roster.
Yeah, that's kind of the way, because I threw out, Cam, that what if, and this might be the wrong move as well, don't get me wrong here, and as people pointed out to me, systematically, maybe it's not the right quarterback, but if the Bears are really trying to get rid of Justin Fields, and they can't get a first-round pick, what if Miami just gives a first-round pick for Fields, then signs him instead?
It's an interesting proposition, because I have a different opinion of Fields than other people do. I think he's a lot better than people think he is.
So you would do that?
I think I kind of like I think Fields, the thing about Fields is the Bears started winning when their defense got healthy, right, guys? That's the thing. And then I look at their targets and go, okay, you got DJ Moore and Kmet and a bunch of other guys that are meh. And I look at the Dolphins, they have elite receivers everywhere. What is Fields' problem? Accuracy. But his legs, better than Tua. I think he's still young. I think he still has room to grow. I'm a big fan. And the thing is, he's always had a negative cloud. People were really quick to jump on him. It's very hard. People think, oh yeah, I'm just going to go to the NFL and it's easy. It's not easy. It takes people a while. Some quarterbacks, CJ Stroud is to me, a miracle. Rob, it's like hiring a kid out of school and broadcasting. He turns out to be Jim Nance or so. I don't know. That's a horrible example. But what am I saying? Instead of the stooges that you deal with that don't even know how to work volume levels, it's just one of these things. It's wow, you don't find rookie quarterbacks that get it that fast. And throwing Tua away is really hard because he does have major potential. You look at some of the throws he makes and you go, yeah. And then I look at them and go, ugh. Noodle arm, and a lot of defensive players got hurt. But Pat, yes, I would. To answer your question, sorry, I'm long-winded this morning. I don't know why. I'm usually pretty quick and just don't give you anything. But I'm a big Justin Fields supporter.
So the pushback against it would be that if you take an inaccurate quarterback and dump him in a precision type offense, then that's just going to be a complete shit show. But that's also to say that Mike McDaniel can only coach one way and not coach to the talent that he has around him. That would be my case for making that move. And when I look at it, like I said, I think that Tua just had his best season. I don't think that Tua is bad. I think that's the thing that gets misconstrued with any of them. I throw it to Jeff and Tim that Atlanta might be a nice spot for Tua. If they trade for Fields, ship off Tua for a third-round pick, he still has his fifth-year option that he plays under now, then they can make that decision moving forward. To me, though, if I'm in the business of trying to win a Super Bowl, unless everything breaks completely right, I just feel like Tua has no chance.
Yeah. Guys, I think that's a great destination spot. He's an SEC quarterback, Atlanta, the home of the SEC championship game, a comfortable area.
Plays
Desmond
in a dome.
Ritter's not really good. Yeah,
get him to a dome.
You're right, Pizzola. It checks a lot of the boxes at Mercedes-Benz, that's for sure. But yeah, we're not the GMs, we're not the guys spending the money in the boardroom, but life's a tough business, and so is the NFL. Bottom line is you got to deliver.
Let's get to the gold picks. Everything is on the table because there are only 4 games left in the divisional round. We'll be using everything from DraftKingsSportsbook.com. So if you want sides, you want totals, you want props, whatever it might be, that is eligible, as we mentioned last week, to be on the board. And I will start with a prop this week. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt because then that under wouldn't be good. But then I can complain and get my money back, so it's all fine.
Yes.
I am taking Mike Evans over 69.5 receiving yards. Mike Evans he rarely has the 2 really bad games in a row. And he weirdly had a really bad game against Philadelphia. He was the one buck who kind of blew it a little bit. And it didn't end up making a difference because they just ran train all over the Eagles. But I don't see a situation here where anyone on Detroit, Rob, is going to shut down Mike Evans on the outside, and as 6.5 point underdogs right now, they're going to have to pass basically as much as they just did against, if game flow goes that way, and if it doesn't go that way, that probably means that Mike Evans had a long reception at some point down the field, but they're going to take their shots. They're going to take their shots with Evans. All he has to do is actually catch it this time, and we're good to go.
Yeah, that's important. That was what I was going to say. It's last game that they played here was Mike Evans drop fest. I mean, there's the deep ball downfield on the sideline where I don't know what happened there. And that's been the case for him his entire career. I think the numbers suppressed a bit because Evans is hurt, but I think the game flow and the game script sets up for them to either be very pass happy right out of the gate, like they were last week against Philadelphia, or to be pass happy if they're trailing as well. So I don't hate the look. I haven't priced any player props early in the week yet, but subjectively, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider what Detroit struggles with. Detroit's very good at defending the slot. They do play Brian Branch inside a lot specifically, but they've had trouble on the outside with Cam Sutton, especially on outside wide receivers this year. So I think a guy like Evans could potentially have a big game here.
I ran the Sims.
It's an excellent pick.
I ran the Sims, and for the projections of the 8 teams on the slate right now, Mike Evans is rated 3rd in terms of receiving yards with a median projection of 89 receiving yards in this game.
Well, Pat, the human, me, and the computer, we agree. We came to an agreement finally, and we're working things out. I'm going to say this. I think all Tampa Bay props over in play. I think Baker Mayfield in any game script, behind throwing. Start the game, as Pizzola said, dicing and like just all over the place. Cam Sutton's attackable. Cade Otton is another guy. Man, he dropped balls last week. You could have seen Baker Mayfield's like his passing yards. I think he's going to go like 300 plus. Like, it was number 252 or something. Like, I would go over there. This guy's a machine right now. I know, he's hurt. Doesn't matter. The guy's tough as fucking nails. He's going to go out there and just throw and throw and throw. That's what he's going to do. He's going to get hit and come back for more. So, Pat, I love your look with Tampa Bay. I would look at a lot of guys over with the Buccaneers.
See, I would caution that a little bit because the Bucs still aren't good. Not to say they can't win this game or play a good game in this one, but we've seen them be very Jekyll and Hyde week to week. And I don't love, Rob, completely basing my opinions on round 2 just because I watched a game in round 1. I'd prefer to look more at what this team has done over the collection of even the past 6 weeks rather than just running train on a depleted Eagles team. Not to say that Detroit's defense is good. It is not good. You can pass all over them. But if Baker came out and laid an egg, I wouldn't be super stunned either.
Well, the Bucs have a very wide range, in my opinion, of what they can be on a week-to-week basis. Like they went to Lambeau Field about 6 weeks ago, and they killed the Packers on the road at Lambeau. But then they have those games like they do the final week of the season, which they need to win to get in against Carolina, and the offense can't do anything. And, whatever, don't want to reminisce on the best bets or anything like that, but fumble out the end zone, another touchdown that gets called back with a turnover the next play. So the Bucs are very inconsistent. And they've had a lot of games this year where it's just like a complete head scratcher. You're like, what the hell is this team? And then there's some games they just come out there like Philadelphia and they look like world beaters. To me, the most interesting takeaway from the Tampa Bay Philly game was how pass heavy they were in the neutral game state. Because if you look at this year, the Bucs offense has been hand the ball off on first down for 2 yards, hand the ball off on second down for another yard. And guess what? Baker Mayfield's got to convert 3rd and 7. Sometimes he's going to do that, but sometimes, he's going to commit some turnover-worthy plays or he just can't get it done over the course of a game. They went pass. They attacked the Eagles' biggest weakness for the entirety of the game, and that served them really well. Do they go back and do that again? I don't know, because we haven't seen them do that for much of the year. But Tampa Bay's a very interesting team to me in that you could get anything this week. They could beat the Lions by 10, wouldn't surprise me. They could lose 42-0. It wouldn't surprise me.
Well said, Pizzola.
So that's my gold pick. Mike Evans over 69.5 receiving yards. Rob.
I'm gonna pivot because I don't like a lot of the spreads this game. I didn't know we were able to do props, but I'm gonna do a prop for gold. And then just to appease Cam for silver and bronze Cam, I promise I'll do spreads as well.
You don't have to do spreads. Remember, you guys are you guys. I'm going to do spreads because I'm like that old guy that just can't get off the schedule. We're going to the casino at noon. We're going to come back and have a nice meal, play bingo, and then go to bed. I play props as well, and I play totals, but I'm just more of a sides guy. The first thing I do, it's kind of like an addiction when you wake up in the morning, Rob. Like I automatically hit the coffee button. I know there's other options. There's croissant, there's banana, there's oatmeal, which I really don't want to fucking eat. But you know what I mean? There's bacon and eggs, which I want to eat, but diabetes says no, no, no. But you know what I mean? So that's what I do. I'm an old school guy, but I do play props and totals.
Okay. Well, I'm giving a prop as my gold, and I'm going to stick in the same game. I'm going to take Rachaad White under 15 and a half rushing attempts at minus 110, under 15 and a half carries. I think there's two ways this game plays out. One, Tampa Bay comes out throwing the ball pretty heavily, and they find themselves in a game where, the Detroit Lions are going to answer, and they're just going to have to throw for the majority of the game. Number two is that they do try to run the ball early on, and they fall behind. Detroit goes ahead, and then Tampa Bay has to throw no matter what. Either way, I do think this is a game where the Bucs have to throw in order to be successful. Ali McNeil is back on the defensive line for Detroit. He played very well against the Rams last week. And listen, I know you can run a little bit on the Lions, generally speaking, but I don't think this is the path to success for the Bucs this particular week. You look at Rachaad White. I got his game log up in front of me here. He goes over 15 and a half a lot. But what you'll notice is that a lot of those are in wins. And whenever they're trailing, like when they played the New Orleans Saints, he gets 11 rushing attempts because they have to abandon that game state. So I think personally that this is a good bet just based off of the game script. I don't see it really any other way for the Tampa Bay Bucs. I don't think they can come out, run the ball with Rachaad White 22 times and win this game. I think that's counterintuitive to how you beat the Lions. So give me Rachaad White under 15 and a half carries.
If that is the case, I'm looking it up right now. Let's see here. Rachaad White, where are carries? If we try to do a same game parlay based on what you just said to try to boost that up a little bit, if people don't like, the minus 110, could you do Lions money line with Rachaad White?
Yes, I agree.
That
That's
gets it to like plus
plus
160 kind of thing.
I love that.
Yeah. Yep. I like that. That's the way to use same game parlays. You look for these correlated outcomes and go that way. I mean, technically speaking, if you wanted to ride this further, I'm not saying you do. Sometimes 2-game parlays are enough, but you do something like Rachaad White under rushing attempts, Baker Mayfield over on completions, or Baker Mayfield over on passing yards, right? That would just be correlated as well. Lions money line, sure. I like all.
Yeah, see, I don't think those things that you just mentioned. Well, I think there's a partial correlation there because one thing isn't happening, one thing could also happen, but Baker could also just have a bad game too. So they don't necessarily correlate.
Well, there's a positive correlate. Like more often than not, if you get less carry. But I know what you're saying. It's not an immediate path to success. There's a path where the Tampa Bay Bucs offense looks like it did Week 18 against Carolina, and they have like 200 yards of total offense, and they score 9 points in all field goals. Like there's that path as well.
So let's see here. Attempts under 15 and a half, money line, Detroit. Yeah.
What do you think about
it gets it up to
Cade Otton touchdown plus 320?
Yeah, I don't like the anytime touchdown markets. It's just not really my bag.
I love them, Pat.
They're juiced to oblivion, though. That's the only problem. Yeah.
You know what, Rob? That's a good point. But the obvious studs are, but you can find a middle of the pack guy that I think is fair. I don't run the simulation I don't have the numbers to back it up like you guys. I'm just saying from a betting and looking at things every day standpoint, I can tell which ones are good and bad. Like, no, I'm not paying minus 240 for McCaffrey and then he gets hurt in the first quarter. That's just stupid. Right?
Agreed. This is a really great point you make because it's 100% true. You're rarely going to, and Pat could probably attest to this from Run the Sims as well. You're very rarely going to find value on the top guys to score a touchdown. Like it's almost always, and it's not a general rule of thumb because you might find some value here and there, but it's almost always a bad bet to take the guy at the top of the board and bet them anytime touchdown. But once you start working deeper into that list, you can really find guys that are valuable, especially in games where you have a skill position player injured, because you actually don't see a lot of these prices adjusted week to week. So if you had like a number 2 receiver injured for a team, now all of a sudden the 3 and 4 receiver on that team are typically priced the way that they were in previous weeks, and they're going to get more snap counts and a higher chance of scoring a touchdown. So I agree with you, Cam. You can find guys deep down the board. It happened this week. Look at
the Mutual Love Society. I'm waiting for you to bring out the skillet and hit me in the head or turn heel. This is unbelievable. We've never agreed so much. But you know what, Rob? I find the tight end market to be a very good one, and the backup tight end market. Like, remember when I told you about Will Disley and Seattle's other tight end, Parkinson? The guy's set plus 700. Like, they're looking at him all the time. I'm like, what are you doing? Like Noah Fant, Parkinson, and Disley are the same guy to me. Like, Fant gets a couple more looks, but when you really look at the target share, it's like, Why would I get a guy at plus 200 when I get a guy at plus 700 and 11-1? That has the same, almost the same opportunity. And your simulations will tell you that. I don't know what's going on, Patrick. We're agreeing a lot today. Weird stuff.
I find that, tight end,
Yeah.
backup tight end touchdowns, I don't like as much. I'd prefer them as first touchdown because then you really get
Good
paid
call.
off on it. But I find that quarterback rushing touchdowns are the softest spot in the anytime touchdown market.
Oh, Justin Fields this year, Pat? It was
but Fields and Lamar
Yeah.
rush in touchdowns. This, like Jalen Hurts is like minus 120 every week to score a touchdown, which actually is a good bet because he scores in like 80% of games on the ground. But even someone like this week against the Bills, I believe Patrick Mahomes is like 6-1 to score a rushing touchdown. Like that's a pretty good value. What does he have to hit that? Like if you bet that every week over the course of the season, is he going to get 3 touchdowns to break you even? Yeah, maybe he doesn't, but he does run enough. And with no Jarek around, I think that helps too.
You know what it is too, Pat, though? I've noticed with Fields, though, and I do these every week, I hit him because the books are leaving him at $1.60, $1.80, where other guys like Allen were minus 120. Hurts, you said like minus 135. Like I found because he played for the Bears, I'm like, are you not watching the game? Like all this guy does, and he runs more than they do too. So I think sometimes it's correlated incorrectly because the guy plays for the Bears. Hell, he runs more than these guys too. When things break down, he gone.
It's just because the game totals for the Bears are typically lower. So you typically have like one less touchdown in the game or half less touchdown, and that affects the prices. But even in the playoffs now, you'll get quarterbacks who run the ball a lot more than they did in the regular season, right? Like this is do or die situation. And a lot of these QBs through the regular season, maybe they're less likely to put it all out on the line. If
Mayfield,
they have a chance.
Rob, he was 8.5 last week. He had 7 on his first run. I'm like, here we go. Like he's the type of guy you bet is over for his rushes because he's just, let's do this. Allen, I don't care what it is. He could break a 70-yard run. You get it wrong, you get it wrong. Who cares?
We brought up that point on the show last week. I actually had a very nice parlay. It was Dak over, Allen over, Mahomes over, and Baker over all together. I saw a few people had combinations of those as well. The only one who really failed in that circumstance, I mean, Hurts is hurt, so I just stayed away from him. The only one that kind of fucked me was Stroud on like the bigger parlay because he didn't run at all.
Right.
Didn't have to.
Didn't need to.
He didn't need to. Yeah, exactly.
But Flacco went over.
Hey, Flacco.
Flacco went over.
Old man Flacco. He didn't have his afternoon nap. That was hard to watch. I really like Joe Flacco too, coming from the couch. And hey, Cleveland got exposed, man. They got exposed.
One more anytime touchdown, kind of based on what you were saying, Cam, about backup tight ends. And he is a backup tight end. He's ran with the ones for so long that he's kind of integral to the red zone packaging right now. That if they get down there, Tucker Kraft is 6-1 because Musgrave is back. Musgrave ended up catching the touchdown last week, but the snaps weren't completely dissimilar once they were inside the 25-yard line. And Kraft did get a red zone target as well. Like it's a 6-1 shot.
Kraft is on my list. I was also going to say, it's funny. I was telling Cameron Drew too. I like both Bills tight ends. Knox got the first touchdown. Kincaid got the second touchdown. Like Josh Allen looks at the tight ends a lot, and Kincaid, it's good number. I'll be taking him this week. I'll be betting him anytime touchdown for fun.
All right. So Cam, your gold pick.
I'm going to go old school, guys. It's been really nice this morning, right? It's almost like we're a family that, like, for the first time, I guess we're like getting money or something happened. Like
you guys both won a bunch of money last week, so you guys are in great moods.
I also gave some away with some drunken NHL. I get greedy, Pat. I'm not going to lie to you, Pat. I do some really stupid things when I'm off the clock. I guess working's good for me because it keeps me out of trouble. But anyway, I digress. We're talking about Cleveland. We're talking about Baltimore. I was on Houston last week. I'm getting off them this week. I'm taking Baltimore. I know it's a huge spread. Huge spread at 9.5. But here we go. Andrews could come back. I don't care if he's there, decoy. Lamar, playoff failures. Now we take this Houston team on the road to Baltimore. I'm going to say this. I love the Texans. I love what they've done. Very close. Good offensive line, too. The back door will be open, guys. I think attacking props this week is probably the way to go. And I just don't really have time to go through all the stuff, but I love everything you've said. I'm taking Baltimore. I think they win this game by 17 to 20 points. I think they annihilate them. I think actually the final score, I have something in the neighborhood of like 34 to like 13, like 34-16, something like along those lines is the number I came up with. And I like the Ravens to absolutely crush the Texans this week. It's probably the only favorite I like.
I like the Texans, but not enough to bet it. So I have.
What do you think, Rob?
I'm in the same boat as Pat. I have a very small lean to here. I understand all the rationale of everything you just talked about. And honestly, CJ Stroud in college wasn't very great in bad weather. This year at Baltimore, at the Jets, really struggled in those games. He ended up getting concussed, I think, in the Jets game late in that game.
Yes, he did.
But he struggled in these types of conditions. It's a different animal. It's a different beast than being inside the dome versus having to go outside and play at Baltimore. A couple things that are bothering me about this. The Ravens have essentially rested players now for 2 weeks, or at least Lamar Jackson. Like, it's 3 week span. And historically speaking, when I go back and look at these teams that rested players in the last week of the season, then got the bye week, which San Fran has done the same this week, they have really struggled offensively coming out of that.
First half,
I don't know. Possibly.
Yes,
I mean,
actually, Pat, that is a really, and Rob, I work with a lot of wise guys like you guys, like a number guys, and Paul Bovey, in my opinion, is one of the best. He got 23. It's a great first half number. We talked about it on our show last night. Me and Morency did, and he goes, I just bet it because of the number. It's a great number. Like, I think it's 22, whatever and a half now, but 23 when the total's gone down to 43 and a half in the game. Rob, you're a math guy. Doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. That's just a good bet on the number. So it's something I would look at, Pat. And you guys are big numbers guys. So I'm scared about this bet. Listen, like, I'm probably going to bet more props too, guys. But it's hard for me to get out of my ways. I just think this is a real public dog in Houston. And Rob, it's not my first rodeo. And you know the way I think. It's just one of those things I think people are going to, and I love Houston. Like, I was on them against Cleveland. I didn't know they were going to kill them, but I bet them. And I just think that this is a really good spot for Baltimore. But that is my only concern, rust.
I don't know about the public dog that everyone's on. I just see everyone taking Baltimore.
Well, KC will be a public dog. That's fact.
Yes, no, I agree with
the Bills'
that.
injuries.
Yeah, but I would say of the 4 games, the fewest amount of people will be on Houston, I think, in the points.
I think the fewest amount of people will be on Green Bay.
No,
Green Bay, I think, as well.
They just watched Green Bay.
Yes. Trust me, me and Rob. Me and Rob are simpatical.
One of these teams,
people bet San Fran every week and cover every week.
You should hear San Fran fans. They've already won this game by 50 points. Why should Green Bay even show up? It's
one of these teams is going to suck this week, either Baltimore or San Francisco. One of them is
going to be Houston.
What?
They're going to suck. That's my prediction.
So I would think that, it's not necessarily bad weather. It's just colder weather, at least projected right now, Saturday in Baltimore.
A little bit windy. Like 15, 20 miles an hour. Yeah.
But I would say that, listen, I was way wrong on the elements leaning towards a lower scoring game, running the ball with Miami last week because they were just inept. And maybe Houston shows up and they're inept too in this situation. But I do think the more elements that come into play, coupled with the defense that the Texans actually play, could limit Lamar a lot if he can't stretch the field enough. Like, we don't expect Stroud to be able to stretch the field because Baltimore's defense is so good, especially their pass defense. And maybe he's good enough that he can do it. So there's that out in the game too. But if all things are equal and the passing game suffers a little bit, especially deeper down the field when Lamar's taking shots to Odell or Zay Flowers, and then, the Houston has to start playing guys back and they just pound them in the middle of the field if Andrews is back or with Likely or with Bateman, just in those spots of the game, then there's nothing that Houston can do. But if you can't do that and you rely on running the ball, or Lamar has to start making plays with his legs, obviously he can do it. But of a lot of the teams that are left in the playoffs, Houston actually has a very good run defense, and they do have the personnel to actually spy Lamar and keep him in check of getting out of the backfield. So if you take that stuff away, I'm not saying Houston's going to outright win the game, but it could keep the game a little bit closer because touchdowns turn into field goals. Then you just need like a break to go your way. Nico Collins finds himself behind the defense, and boom, you're off to the races.
The thing is, Pat, I've noticed, though, the one thing about Lamar is his accuracy and throwing has been a hell of a lot better. It continues to grow. Like, I've watched him put balls on a dime to Beckham this year and stuff like that in tough conditions. Remember the Rams game? It was a little bit slippery and slick. He was amazing in that game. So he's just a guy that I think continues to grow. And I think Baltimore will come up with a game plan. Good point on Collins. This guy's been absolutely stunning for the Houston Texans. I just think it's a bad matchup for Houston because they can carve up their secondary. That's all.
I think slippery and slick, because that game was like 38-32 that went to overtime or something like that. I think that slippery and wetness is different than cold and windy.
Yes, it is. Very much so.
I'm a little bit like right now, this is the forecast right now as I'm looking at it, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds with gusts up to 30 miles an hour. To me, that's not affecting your every down passing, but it's affecting your downfield passing, which I think hurts Houston a lot because they rely on explosive plays to move the ball. That's been their offense this year. Bobby Slowick, their offensive coordinator, first year, has done a good job of generating explosive plays. The Ravens already don't give up a lot of explosive plays, but then you add in that condition, it's concerning. The issue that I have with Baltimore, and maybe this is like too random of a thought, but I actually think this is going to be the biggest underdog CJ Stroud is going to be in his entire life right here in this specific game. Like, I don't know that you're ever going to find situations in the future where he is going to be underdogs of this many points. And if we go back, like, what do we think CJ Stroud is going to be in the NFL next year, the year afterwards? Top 5 QB, probably, right? We can, or at least in that range. You go back and look at these guys that end up being the top 5 QBs in the league. They're just never underdogs in this price range. So I have so many reasons I could like Baltimore in this game, but then I just think to myself, like, I'm getting an elite quarterback, getting whatever the point spread is, 9.5 points right now. How is that not tempting in some capacity? These are tough games this week, guys, like very, very tough games, because I think you make good arguments for either team. I lean Houston just because I mean, I can't get off Stroud at these prices. I can't.
No, I know. Understand.
Yeah.
And I just got to stick to what I think is going to happen. And that's, it's working. So I just think I look at a game indoors versus a Cleveland team that's defense really didn't play very well on the road, and things got away from them. And Flacco, once things go south, they go south. Baltimore has so many ways to counteract what Houston does, in my opinion. Like, they can also run the ball. They can do so many. And they're just a really good football team, and they're at home. And I think this Houston team, it's going to be a learning curve. I just think they're going to get their asses handed to them, and then they come back as a great team. To Rob's point, they're never going to be 9.5, 10-point dogs again. But I like the Ravens by like 17-23, Pat. I told you, I think they rout them.
For sure. And I think that's very high on the range of outcomes. I think what Rob and I are both saying is that the bad weather coupled with the rest, that you're not really playing the Texans to beat and really play well against the Ravens, that just the Ravens struggle to score a bunch of points right away, and then they just don't get there in terms of covering the 9.5.
It's tough. It's tough, Pat, with 4 games, right? Like, I like a lot of props too, but I'm not like, I like the props the same as like my gold pick. As I said, like, I know we want to go harder on the golds, but I kind of look at these games the same way, but I just get a strong feeling. Like, I woke up on Monday and I made a lot of cases for Houston, Rob. That's what I do. I like, you know what I mean? I look for underdogs first, and then I just started putting lines through them and go, no, I think it's Baltimore. Like, that's just, it's to me, that's, I'm sticking with it, guys. And I could be dead wrong. And I love the Houston Texans. They've been great to us this year, but I think the Ravens they're lethal.
Want to remind everyone that voting is open for the 2024 Custys Awards. That link is down in the description right now. Just got to put in your email. You get your 1 vote. And when you start skimming through those categories, it's going to kind of blow your mind. Here's an example, Cam, of most egregious claim from Tim this year. Tim claimed he could easily become an astronaut if given the time. Agree or disagree?
Really? You're asking me like to even have a response? You have to be in tip-top shape athletically. You're like, honestly, it's almost like a guy who can hold his water for 3 minutes underwater to get like your scuba diving license. Tim's huffing and puffing, walking upstairs with a bag of groceries. And I love the man.
He actually just bought a dolly, so he doesn't have to carry.
Sorry. Yes, dollies, and astronauts just don't jive. Like, you know what I mean? This guy, could you see this guy in the air tunnel going around and around and around? The guy's like, he has problems with like neighborhood kids. Like, what's he gonna do in space? Anyway, I love Tim. I love his doilies, his takes, his eating chocolate bars with utensils, whatever else the fuck he's doing. I love this guy, but he could not. No, being an astronaut? Are you fucking kidding me? It's not. That's one of the hardest things to do. Like, Rob, I have panic attacks in planes. Being an astronaut? Give me a break. Like, you have to be like one of those fine. Sure, He can maybe be an astronaut if they fucking put a blow dart in his neck with like, enough juice to fucking knock him out for like 5 days, and he wakes up somewhere in orbit, but he won't even be there yet. I don't know what to say. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. He's not even, I don't even think he could be, ride a roller coaster, let alone fucking be an astronaut.
See, you say that's the dumbest shit you've ever heard, but that's not even close to the most egregious claim.
No.
I'd say that. So here's another one. There's like 10 of them. So here's
I love these things.
Here's one for you, Rob. When Cuss was talking about his dream home. In his continuous attack on tradespeople, Tim said he could easily put in the drywall and do the landscaping of his dream home.
Yeah, like again, I by the way, I went through this entire list and I voted for something from that category. I must have glossed over some of these because there was other ones that were so egregious that I was like, what? Like I was hyper fixated on them. The thing is, if you don't have like the skills to do this already, you're not just picking them up on the fly. This is not just something that all of a sudden, oh yeah, I know how to put it. Like framing is hard to do for people who are like already skilled in framing. It takes them hours upon hours. Imagine being the guy that's going to go frame your old home place and then put up the drywall on top. These things, like the problem is with him is I actually don't think he knows what this entails, right? He thinks it's just putting up a sheet on the wall. Just put the drywall up. What could be so hard about this? It's very difficult and challenging.
I'm going to make a bet, Pat. My curtain rod fell down. I don't think Tim could have put it back up. I'm dead fucking serious. My buddy came in with tools. Like I told him, I go, I don't have the time to do it. You know what I mean? You got to measure it. Got to make sure the studs are there. Like little things like that. I went to fucking Home Depot with these command strips. Bam! That thing came down in 4 seconds. Holds for 20 pounds. My ass, it does. It didn't hold 2. So you know what I mean? My buddy came in, you give him a joint and a couple beer. He's with his tools. He's got his measuring thing out. Want to make sure you got to look at the studs. There's so many things that are going. That's for a fucking curtain rod. A home? My brother did timber frame homes. Like it is one of the hardest. Like let's not even talk about this shit anymore. It's ridiculous.
This one is my fault that he thinks he can do this because when we were in college, the window in my car stopped working. Like it wouldn't go back up.
Oh.
So I YouTubed a video of like, how do I drove a Saturn wagon, like a 1998 Saturn wagon. This wasn't
suck.
This way, hey, listen, you could throw a beer bottle against the side of a Saturn and wouldn't even make a scratch.
True. They are shit cars though. I had a Saturn too.
Yeah, I don't think they make them anymore. But either way,
no shit.
I went to YouTube and put in like, how do I fix the window of the driver's side door in this like model of Saturn? There was like a 5-minute video. I watched it and I changed the window of my car. He thinks because I did that, which is pretty, listen, it took me a while to do it because I'm not super handy, but it was pretty rudimentary to like get it unhooked from whatever was keeping it down. But he thinks that putting up drywall is basically the equivalent of that.
No.
Not at all.
No, it's not
at all.
But he thinks
there's
it is.
There's guys I drink with, when I go to the local bar and stuff, they're all in the trades. I look at these guys and they look like guys that have been beat up. Like absolutely robbed, been clawed by like a Sasquatch, or like these guys come to that work and when they drink their first beer, like Tim is pretty boy's not really fair. I really like the word. What's the word I'm looking at? He doesn't have it. Like to be a tradesman, to build like that, you have to, and Rob's right. You can't fucking read a book about this shit. You have to know it. You have to have the skill set. You got to school. My brother does like intricate tile. It's like dragon tile and shit like that. This guy works on projects for like 6 months to a year for rich guys in Banff and stuff. I watched him like a video of it. It is the most impossible thing. Like Rob, I wouldn't even know where to fucking begin. Like if my life depended on it, I'm dead. Like people look at the trades and go, "Oh, I could learn how to be this and that." No, you don't. No, you can't. That's why you're not in it.
There's a fine line between confidence and delusion.
Yes.
And Tim is towing that line. You ever seen like this do it yourself stuff? Do it yourself. My buddies, listen, no offense, but like you go to the place and you're like, yeah, I could tell you did this yourself.
Yeah,
like,
you
this
did it
is
yourself.
just
Exactly.
we can
all do it ourselves.
Sure.
Surely.
Yes.
Wrong.
Exactly. I could put up drywall. Sure. It might not cover all the walls properly. It might come down in a year, but I can put it up.
No, you hire a Polish guy with a Q107 t-shirt when you need drywalling done. You don't do it. Just call the man and pay him. Right, Pizzola? Like Hainzer's like, hey, I can do all this stuff for you. And I love Hainzer, but I don't know the quality of his carpeting work. Like he tells me, oh, she's simple. Like we can do. And I'm like, Hainzer, like I need, like if I do this job and end up selling this place, I need it to be flawless. Like I believe he could do like painting and stuff. I got A+. But even him, and he's a good friend, and I'll give him credit. Great with the smoker, great smoking, all substances. But this is like your home. I need perfection. Like I need, like basically fucking a guy from Alexanian to come in here who's been doing it for 50 years and make it. You know what I mean? And no offense, I'm not hiring like I know you could do it, but how are you going to do it?
Well, the thing is, we've seen Hainzer in the workplace, and that affects our ability. You know, he was a great producer for morale, but in terms of the actual production of the shows,
and then you get him some Tuborgs and shit, and then we're off the rails. That's the whole thing.
So, hold on.
Workers like drinking.
How does that work? So if Hainzer was like that, Feinberg was exactly the same way, right?
No, but Feinberg wasn't when we worked with Jeff, he wasn't strictly a producer. He handled a lot of other stuff. So he handled a lot of the website upkeep and changing the banners and doing Photoshops and stuff like that.
What?
And you
know what Feinberg's good at, Pat?
He can get anyone on the line. If you need anyone on the line, Feinberg will get them on the line.
Also, when things get real, that's when he stops talking. Like he's a good escaper of like Rob. How do you describe this with Feinberg? Like he'll work hard, but he'll also like say, fuck you, enough is enough. Like I'm not doing, like I don't know how to really describe it, Pat. He has a real skill set to, please Rob, help me not look bad. Like when push comes to shove. Jeff likes to take a break. Let's just say he's not getting pushed around by the man. After a while, he's kind of like, fuck you. I'm doing my shit. Yeah. Go screw off.
But
where me and Pizzola are like, yes, sir, we'll work extra. We'll do like a bunch of fucking stooges. Like Jeff is like, no, it's not happening this way. I'm done.
But he didn't produce shows, Jeff.
Yeah.
Like I was a producer. Hainzer, Orville, Aaron Bronstetter was a producer. Like Jeff was more of like a glue guy that like he had to do all the stuff that was in between to promo the shows.
He did a good job.
But I actually felt for him because he had to produce like 5 Photoshops a day that would go up on the website to promo shows. And like, there were certain people around there, I won't name names, that were like really nitpicking everything. Like, could we move the basketball over to this corner and whatever? And after a while, Jeff he got a little bit resentful and bitter. And he just said, no, like, fuck off. I'm going to do this. You know, you're paying me to do this. I'm going to do this. If you want to do it, go do it yourself. But he filled in on a lot of other gaps as well, helping book guests, cutting clips for shows. He was
being on show. You know, Jeff's good. Like that thing. And Hainzer is good too. He's just like, hey, everybody's got their thing. Everybody's got their breaking point. Me and Pizzola are just morons. We just kept on like taking it. And after a while, those guys are like, fuck it. I just want to get stoned.
Silver picks for the divisional round. I'm going back to another prop. This one from the Bills and Kansas City game. I like James Cook over 65.5 rushing yards against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills are going to try to run as much as possible, whether it be with Allen. They cut Leonard Fournette, so it's going to be like Cook, Murray, probably just Cook and Allen the entire time. Slants to tight ends, just pound the entire time, and that's what they're going to want to do here.
Yeah, I can't argue that. That seems like the exact game plan that the Bills will come out with. And they utilized Cook very heavily in the first matchup with Kansas City as well, where he had a really strong game overall. Zero arguments on my end for
how many
Cook.
rushing yards do you think Allen's going to get, guys?
I don't know, because his numbers in like the mid-foot, I think it's 45.5 for him. If he had 40, like that'd be a really good game. You know what I mean?
He could get it on one run though. That's the whole thing.
He rarely gets it all on one run. I feel like that's just fresh in our mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times is he going to galloping down the turf like a fucking horse that can't be caught? Once he's there, and he's a monster. Like people like John Elway, fucking John Elway. Allen's huge, faster, bigger. Guy's a machine. Like you want to tackle that guy? Good luck.
Like things broke my way really well with both of those last week because I had the Mahomes over rushing and I had the Allen over rushing. They both got it all on one run.
I feel bad what we just said. Like I really liked him and stuff like that. Like I don't want to say like the guy like I'm useless. I can't build it. But the thing is, I come to like Pat. I tell people like I was embarrassed to call my friend. Like I couldn't put a chair together. Like you know what I mean? Like I'm just not that. It's just I'm not good at that shit. Like you know. And I get the thing is I could do it. But I reach a level of frustration where I'm like, it's like Homer Simpson. Why can't we just smash in the fucking birdhouse? I can't deal with it anymore. And it's just like, I need to watch cartoons or murder mysteries, anything else, anything but work on this project right now. You need patience. And I don't know Custys as well as you do, but I don't think he has the patience or skill set to finish projects. But I like the man as a human being. I think he'd be maybe a good lawyer.
Yeah.
A lawyer.
I agree.
He may have
I
missed his
trust him
calling
as a
with
lawyer.
I bet you he thinks he could be a lawyer tomorrow, though, without going to law school.
in fairness, he might be able to do that. That's actually something that I would put very high of the list of something he would be able to do.
I could tell you, I had a lawyer before, and I'd rather have cussed. My lawyer comes in with buttons like, I love Fridays. And I'm like, whoa, man. What? And I just paid you cash? You should be paying me. It was fucking ridiculous.
You pay your lawyer.
Pick?
You pay your lawyer in cash?
Yeah, I do. That's the way I roll. I got what I paid for, I guess.
I think so.
Oh, the best is he goes, right there, he's like, tell me a little bit about yourself. I go, what? I go, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, I'm done. I'm going to handle this myself. And whatever, I did okay. I did better. Like, I just basically threw money away. Long story short, Packers, silver pick. I don't care. I'm on the Packers. Am I crazy, Rob? Am I crazy like Green Bay?
No, I don't think any of the sides are crazy this week. I think you can make realistic, very good cases for both sides of every game.
Green Bay, what they did to Dallas, they're not going to do to San Francisco. But people anoint San Francisco like they're this team as strong as Zeus and the gods that can never be beaten. Arizona scores against them. We've seen a stretch where Baltimore kicked their ass. I know they were like, it was a Christmas game, whatever, but these guys are rested. Green Bay seems to me a team with LaFleur that gets better and better and better every week. Their offensive line is healthier. Jones is back. I worry about the defensive players. Zaire Alexander, that's a big deal because you're dealing with San Francisco. But as of now, I think everything's going to work out and they're going to play. I see Green Bay losing by like 3 points in this game. I think it's going to be extremely close, maybe a touchdown, but I'm getting 9.5. I will take 9.5 wheels of cheese with the Pack.
There's a way that you can get to San Francisco. It's through the air, especially with mid-range and longer throws downfield. Just few teams have the capability of doing that, and now they're playing a team that can do that.
What do you guys think about the game? So it sounds like you're leaning Packers, Patrick.
Yeah, I like the Packers in the points.
Good. I want us to at least be on.
But like when we build a teaser, do not want to put Green Bay on it because they could lose by 40.
Enough. Listen, I like props too. We'll worry about the teaser as a family. I don't care who gets it right or wrong. That's what we do. We'll get it. We'll be okay.
But I mean, I've seen Green Bay play enough shitty games this year that it's a snowball effect with them. Like if their offense gets going early, it goes and they score a ton of points. If it's like not starting out so hot in the first 10 minutes, it doesn't really go anywhere.
Pat, I'm going to say this though. Lately, it's one of those things where before it was bad, good. I'm seeing consistency now in the Bears game of execution and what they did to Dallas. They just look like a team where Love is just absolutely a different guy, more confident. The young receivers are stepping up. I worry about San Francisco's pressure, but I think Love is a cool customer. I think he's really good. Like he's turning into a really good quarterback. So I got to take 9.5 with this team. I think people think San Francisco, like, they've basically said they've won the Super Bowl already. So
yeah,
we got to back up the truck.
Well, everyone is just penciling in Ravens, 49ers. And maybe we see the 1-1 go to the Super Bowl every now and then. It happens. I'm trying to think. Actually, when was the last time that did happen? Was it Saints Colts? Or has it happened?
That was the best.
More recently.
Super Bowl, Pat, one of the best days of my life. At the Sahara in Vegas, I won every hand in blackjack. Didn't want to be mean to Gabe and those guys. They were all on the Colts. I was on the Saints. It was just like one of those days. I was just like, fucking roll. Oh, God. I wish I could go back in the hot tub time machine to that day. Best day ever.
But
20-something grand.
Nuts. 20 grand. That's not bad. Green Bay.
Yeah, it was the best day of my life. Actually, best gambling day with blackjack and betting of my life in one 8-hour span for fun.
I think you really can pinpoint, though, Rob, that when Aaron Jones is healthy, this offense is just a lot better.
Agreed, 100%. It's not quite as drastic as the Kyron Williams on and off splits, but it's pretty damn drastic, especially considering like the alternative. AJ Dillon was out last week, but he was the guy getting the bulk of the carries, and he just doesn't have the explosiveness. I lied earlier in the show, and I said for my silver I was going to go spreads. But I actually, as you guys have been talking about these specific games, I've been looking more and more into specific props. And I'm going to go a prop for silver here. It's going to be Aaron Jones, longest rush over 14.5 yards, minus 125, which he's hit in 5 straight games. The 49ers run defense isn't as good The defense overall isn't as good as people give them credit for. They played a lot of cupcakes, especially early on in the year, but their run defense especially is like bottom 10 in the league in EPA per play, in success rate. They've given up big runs this season. This is a team that can be exposed in the running game. Now, granted, they did have some injuries on the defensive line late in the year. I'm not excusing that, but Green Bay with this power running game, Aaron Jones, these inside zones, that's been working for them every single week, no matter which defense they play. I don't think that Green Bay is going to get blown out in this game to the point where they have to completely abandon the run. Part of the reason I think that is a little bit of a rust factor with San Fran as well, at least in the early going. But I think this is a low number, honestly. I think this should be closer to 19.5, 20. So
What did you say? It was 16.5?
14.5.
Wow,
Aaron Jones.
I agree with you, Rob. I think he's
longest
going to bust
rusher.
like a 25 or 30. Like I can see that. Definitely.
Bronze picks. Bills minus
you guys-
2. Bills minus 2.5 for me.
I love your style, Pat.
Let's do it.
Hey.
No.
Really?
Are
Are you really going to do it?
Yeah, we had question marks. It wasn't. There's still a ton of question marks
Okay.
around the Bills, but I've now convinced myself that they are the team of destiny, and they're just going to win the Super Bowl. So that
know
means
what,
they
Pat?
But they're the team. But they're the team of destiny all the time.
But they're
aren't
not.
they?
No, not this year.
No. You're gonna listen. No, I talk too much. But I got to say that Mahomes. This is his first damn road game. First road. This isn't in Arrowhead. Now you're coming to Orchard Park where people are digging fucking caverns to find their seats. I'm gonna tell you something. This place is gonna be absolutely nuts. Morency was telling me too, like they're not even burning themselves. They're going through tables now. They're like falling in pits of feces and shit. These guys are insane. They'll do anything for a title. And I'm going to tell you, Pat, I wanted to take this so bad and I'm scared. But then I thought about it. I go, you know what, Mayo? Everybody and their fucking mother's taking Kansas City +2. If that thing goes to 3, I don't know what people are going to do. Hit the ATM machine or like go, can I stop my mortgage and like, let's work out a deal with the bank? I'm going to tell you something. I like the Bills as well.
So you can easily make the case that you're getting points with the best quarterback of the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's only played, 5 of those seasons. That'd be stupid to go the other way. But I do
We have
think
problems though, Pat.
I do think
The
that
defense.
playing Miami last week and Miami being just incompetent kind of made us forget that Kansas City kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I agree, but I don't. Buffalo. I'm not saying Buffalo sucks because this
Buffalo
is a league.
plays to its competition.
They do. That's fair. I can't help but think of when all the defensive injuries happened last week. Mason Rudolph started just carving the Bills, and to me, there's one of two things I'm going to do with this game. Either Buffalo is going to be missing starters on defense, and I'm going to play KC money line, or Buffalo starters are going to play, and I'm going to play the under in the game.
Teaser. Like, listen, I know a lot of professionals, Rob, that are doing more teasers now. They're coming on our shows and stuff, and putting Kansas City an 8.5 point teaser makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
Like, I'm sorry, and you know me, Pat. I'm kind of like one of those guys.
I
like
don't
money
disagree.
lines.
But I mean, the reason
No.
the reason that they're putting them in teasers because they're 2.5 and you tease them through 3 and 7, like just
because we
logically.
like them to win by 7.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what you like them to win by or whatever. Just logically, that's a good value on a teaser.
Yeah,
It really
it could be
is.
any team, really. It's not just that it's specific to the Chiefs because it fits the mold of what's called the Wong teaser. But yeah, like to me, like Terrell Bernard and Tyrell Dodson in the linebacking core. Remember, obviously, like they've been without Matt Milano all year. Backup Balin Spector's injured. This is a problem to me against Kansas City because they really attack underneath a lot. You need your skilled linebackers when you play Kansas City because of everything that they do over the middle of the field in the passing game. Rashee Rice over the middle, Travis Kelce over the middle, getting the running backs out of the backfield as well. I don't think Kansas City is very good, or at least relative to past years. I don't. That's
probably a better way to put it. I don't think that they're bad, but they're still being. I feel like because they won last week in dominating fashion, now people think, oh, the playoffs have started. They're just the good Chiefs again.
I'm with you, Pat. Like I don't think teams can just like turn it on like that. We've seen a full season of what they are, which is a good team, but not an elite great team as years past. It's just that they got a good matchup against Miami in the cold weather. And now, to me, the way that this game is breaking with the amount of we've seen the Bills with injuries on defense this year, and it hasn't been pretty. And you now have the 2 extra days for Reed to prepare for the Bills as well, which, I mean, he's the coach that everyone wants to bet off of a bye week. This isn't a bye week, but it's extra rest. Like, the schedule doesn't favor Buffalo at all. I wanted to bet against KC again, and now we're in an instance where I actually want to bet on them just because of what's transpired.
All right, well, I'm sticking with my bronze pick. Cam, where are you going with bronze?
I want to take the Bills with you, Pat.
Do it.
It's partly to do with heart. Like, in my dream world, it'll be a Detroit Buffalo Super Bowl where all the people of these suffering cities, finally, one of them is going to be happy. That's the way I think. I actually want people to be happy. I don't want sadness. I'm so sick and tired of all these other franchises like Kansas City. Enjoy it every time. It's like, give the people what they want once in their fucking lives before they die. I also want to take Tampa Bay plus 6.5. I'm very intrigued by that spread.
So which one are you taking?
Actually, hold on, Pat. I got a question. Don't you guys like the over 45 in the Buffalo game?
Nope.
I don't.
Oh, you don't, do you? Oh, interesting. I thought it was a different response.
Yeah.
No, give me buff, Pat. I'm riding with you. It's Mayo, Stewart. You're the new coach of the New England Patriots. Stew Dogs with you. Got your back. minus 2.5.
It's team player right there. Rob, your bronze pick.
I'm just fooling around with some stuff on DraftKings here.
Fooling around with the DraftKings, is it?
I am. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play a little parlay. I'm gonna put Detroit minus 2.5, minus 236 into a parlay with San Fran minus 2.5, minus 369. So you're taking Detroit minus 2.5, San Fran minus 2.5. Plus that's what? minus 125.
No, I'll accept that. It's under our threshold.
I like these teams to win, and I don't mind the risk of the 1 or 2 point win for each of them. I mean, this is just a tough week. I think the spread I would like the most, if I had to pick one, would be the Lions. I feel like the Lions might blow the Bucks out. I think the Bucks are low key
bad,
way worse than we realize that. And they played so many games against Atlanta and Carolina and New Orleans this year that maybe to me, Philly was the best possible matchup for them in round 1. I feel like they might be a little bit overrated right now. It's just a bit different for them playing the Eagles at home and now going out on the road to Detroit, where that's going to be like that place is rough.
What's Bills' money line? So what's your thing? 125? Bills are like 140, right? Money line. It's over our threshold.
You could go Bills money line. Why not?
I almost want to put something else with it, Pat. Are you worried about the 2.5?
I'm not worried about 2 if I like them to win the game, I like them to cover the 1. Like if they win by 2, then shame on me. But I wouldn't be looking to put I know I did this earlier when we talked about the Rashad White under and trying to correlate that with something else to boost it up, because I think that those two things go hand in hand, and then you take it from a minus 110 to a plus 125 when both things happen. I'm not too concerned. Like if I need to have the minus 140, I don't feel the need to put it with anything else. I just bet the minus 140.
Yeah.
Like it's not minus 700. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's how you get yourself into trouble betting right there.
Like, what are people most confident in? Like, for me, I'm most confident in Detroit scoring points this week. To me.
And for me, it's San Francisco to score points.
Like a Lions team total over 27.5 or something like that. I don't mind that at all. Huh. I think they're going to cook offensively.
I think Kansas City's, despite liking the Bills, I kind of like their team total over, and I like the Bills team total over. I kind of like
you just like the game over. Yeah,
I do.
That's fun.
Because Kansas City's probably good for 24, and I think the Bills are good for 28. I think it's like 28-24 Bills.
That'd be fun. Listen, if that's the game, it's going to be very highly rated, because that is going to be an awesome game to watch. 28-24 in Buffalo, last game of the week. It'd be awesome.
With 3 touchdowns in the last minute and a half.
Oh, God.
I don't think too for the teasers, guys, because all those people that don't pay the 7 would be a push, and then everyone lose by it's almost like a perfect score for oh man, I missed by the hook. Like Bills, people will be on Kansas City. It's almost like, you know what? I'm playing that exact score. Bills 28, Chiefs 24.
Well, I saw your buddy, the Consigliere guy, hit like 1,500 to 1 or something.
Apparently he didn't. It was a trick, and I cried.
Oh, it was a trick?
I don't know the whole story, but I don't think he won 72 grand. I think it was some kind of inside joke that me and the world didn't get.
Oh.
I congratulated him on the show, and then we were wondering when me and Gabe were watching the show why he wasn't talking about his bets, and he seemed a little stressed out for a guy that won 72K. I don't really want to get into it because I don't know the background of the story, but I talked to Dave and I go, or he's lying because he wants to get like wife and kids off his back and don't want to pay for their college. I don't know what it is, but I haven't got to the bottom of it, and I don't have the time to go into the interrogation room this week.
Okay.
Dateline style.
We'll
anyway,
figure that out moving
I'll throw
forward.
that out there. It's not a complete 100% truth. Not sure. Working on it. Not sure.
You thinking maybe he's trying to get the tax man off his back or what?
Okay, Pizzola, you're sometimes you're pretty sharp. You're like the knife sharpener guy with the bells who comes in. I think it's the Dickie D ice cream guy, but it's the guy who sharpens knives. You might be onto something. Sounds very accurate.
I
Good
didn't.
guess.
So he predicted the exact score in Packers Cowboys.
I can't confirm nor deny. I haven't seen a ticket. This is the whole thing about this world we're living in. If I did it, I'd find a way. Even if I couldn't do it over the computer, you guys would help me do it, and I would find a way to show you something. But then in the back of my mind, I'd be like the great Gazoo going, "Hey, dum tax man." We got to think about that. The minute you went over. Yeah, what? No, Tony Soprano. Why do you think Carmelo put 9,999 in? Can't go over 10. Hide the money. Rob knows he's Italian. You got places all over the lot. You're hiding money in coffee cans and secret places. That's what you can't do that stuff. Like if you won 72 grand, you're on the radar. It's already out in the universe on Twitter. You're fucked.
Yeah, this is really weird.
It's less of a case for us in Canada than it would be in the States.
I understand that Pat, you're right. We don't need lawyer Cust in his professional to tell us that is true. But anyway, I don't know the story.
Paul wants to chime in on this.
Please do, Paul. I always like your voice from space.
Cam always talks about like true crime series and stuff like that. I'm just saying that I would watch an investigative report of Cam like breaking down these like gambling controversies and where the money went and stuff like that. If we can get funding for it on our next contract, I'm in.
Thanks, Paul. Shag, I've always appreciated everything you do. MMA picks, everything. Your quality and attention to detail. Rob, remember the time we had 40 fucking grifters in our room in Vegas and I was all hopped up on goofballs and drank like 40 drinks and had a 2-day blackjack bender and put the money in the fucking knob of the ironing board? That money's still there in Jukesy's room. God rest his soul. He passed away. Remember, because I was scared because there's all these grifters we didn't know were in the room. I'm like, I think I'm going to hide this money in the side of the ironing board. Well, I'm fucking absolutely in space. Next thing you know, I'm on a plane. Bye, money. It's still in the room at the MGM. Oh, my God, help me. Anyway, yeah, Paul, investigation sounds like a great idea. But I don't understand why somebody would say they won the money, then they didn't win the money. Like, there's something going on, and I think, Rob, you and Pat you guys are sharp guys. Maybe you could figure it out because I don't have the capacity to deal with it right now.
So the thing is, like, from what I can tell, he never tweeted that he won anything.
No, people tweeted to him.
It was Mike Cardano.
Yes.
That tweeted that he won like a 1450 to 1. And then he quote tweeted it and it said it's fake news, a little early for April Fools. Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we all said congrats. You saw what was going on. The minute we saw it, I'm like, holy shit, Dave, because I work with Dave every night. It's like,
as someone who used to live with Cardano, that being me, I could see that being like him thinking that's a really hilarious joke to do to someone.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of not a hilarious joke.
I know. I completely agree.
Honestly, if Cardano did that to me, I'd say, Mike, I love you. We have to have a little chat about like $72,000 and now people. And you know me, guys. Like Rob, you know some of the people we know. Not Hainzer. I was going to use a Hainzer voice. Can't get a loan. But no, Hainzer wouldn't do that. I actually spend money on Hainzer and get him a fucking keg of Tuborg. But you know all these people from the woodwork. Can I get a dime? Can I get a dime? 500? You don't want to tell people you've won money like that. It's just a bad move.
Cam, I was scrolling through Twitter this week.
Yeah.
And I saw some guy from Book It named Chell God or something like that. Chelly God or whatever. Yeah. And this guy was doing a show where he was giving out picks while he was cooking me a meal in a kitchen.
Oh, sounds amazing. That was my idea 25, 30 years ago.
That's why I thought of you. Then I'm going through a couple nights ago. I see Jersey Jerry at Barstools doing like a 10,000 calorie challenge on air at night.
All these things that these guys have done, I just want to tell everybody who listens to the show, we did them 20 years ago. We're almost like a band that you've stolen all of our shit from, and we've not received one fucking cent from. From Cam eats this if you lose the bet. I ate fucking dog bones on the air, the Alpo, Valpo, all that shit. You guys stole all our material. And you know what? I really wish we patent some shit because I'm watching stuff. Pat, you got original content because you got a brain. But I'm watching these other guys around the world. Where's our fucking cut? Like, Rob, I'm watching people steal our bits, like word for word and shit like that. Like my bit with you, Morency's stuff, everybody. Like, we should get together for a class action lawsuit with Tim and Shag and Pat and get some, like, they're stealing. Like, there have been guys who have actually stolen our stuff, like almost exactly the same. It's plagiarism.
We'll hire your lawyer that gives out the buttons.
Oh yeah, I love Fridays. Yeah, okay. Buttons. Who comes in with buttons? Like, the guy's wearing buttons on his sports coat. I'm like, I'm fucked. I got to do this myself. Ah, fucking idiot. What a loser. That's what you get. That's what you get for getting a lawyer from Big Mike, your buddy. Hey, let's go down to solid gold. Eh? Ooh, what a night. Yeah, okay. Spending dad's credit card on strippers. Yeah, that's good advice, Cam. That's a great guy to listen to. Well, I learned my lesson 20 years ago. Fucking stooge I am.
Do we have a teaser we want to play?
Yeah, teaser.
I think Kansas City up to 8.5 kind of has to be on it, right?
If the Bills win, I think they probably win by a touchdown max, but I like them. Yeah.
Okay. So
I honestly think these spreads are pretty tight. So
want to take Detroit down to 0? Let's take Detroit down to 0. They win the game.
Detroit down to half. Yeah.
All right.
Rob, you like them at 2.5, so you're going to like them at 0.
I honestly like, if I had to pick at 6.5, I'd pick Detroit. So I don't mind the 2.5.
Okay, so one more. We either take Baltimore down or San Fran down.
We can take a total down if we want to.
I don't know about these totals.
I don't want to get into this again with Cam.
I mean, can we take
what do you mean get into it?
No, sorry. I got into the teasing through 0 with you. I never got into the teasing totals argument.
We haven't teased through 0
if we
yet.
need to throw one more thing that's a part of the show. We do the three team teaser. Can we do Green Bay, San Francisco down to 44.5?
I'll let you guys.
I kind of like the under in that game.
All right, then no. Like, we have to find one more to do here. Do you want to tease Do you want to tease the Ravens up, or the Texans up?
I would like to tease the Ravens down to 2.5. That's what I'd like to do.
Well,
that would be a 7-point.
That would be a 7-point.
Yeah. See, this is the problem. Now we're entering 7 versus 6.
We do 6 every week on the show.
I know we do that.
If I was going to tease a total, which I don't recommend, but if I would tease Tampa Bay, Detroit down.
I agree.
I'm good with that. The over.
I'm good with that too.
So over 42.5.
Are we crossing 0? Are we crossing any key numbers? What are we crossing?
It's not generally a great idea to tease total. The reason why, just so people understand, but the points that you're going through with totals are much less valuable than sides, generally speaking. So that's the only reason. But if we had to do, it's only if we got 8 up. We don't have a lot of options.
What's the total? What's the total now?
We get it 42.5.
We get it at 42.5?
Yeah.
I'm into that.
That's a very low total for a Detroit home
20,
game.
We win. I think the Lions get probably 30 themselves. So let's go.
So there it is. Kansas City plus 8.5. Detroit down to a pick'em, basically 0.5. They just need to win. Then Detroit over 42.5. I'd say that's probably about the squarest teaser you're going to find this week, Rob.
Whatever. You know what? Square plays win all the time. Look at the Rams +3 last week, baby. They get home. The public dog that cashed last week with the Rams. They square plays win all the time. Who cares? Who cares?
There we are. Let's win one this week. Get back to 8 and 10. Up money again on the teasers for the year. You can check out Rob at thehammer.bet, the Forward Progress YouTube channel. You good people out there, smash likes out of the channel and play in the DraftKings Listeners League. That is down in the description right now. And check out Cam at Cam Stewart Live, where he will respond to your tweets from 3 years ago.
Actually, I think you're right. What, the Ninja Star one or the one about Ryzen Gabe on the show? And I said he lives in Vancouver.
That one.
Yeah,
I had to text Pat about that one. I'm like, is it just
you
me
guys
or
like
is Cam
do I like? Is it at least good that I respond even though it's a long time?
How did that happen? How I need to know.
Some guy goes, I want Morency to come on the show. I go, Pat would have him on too. I go, the guy finishes work at 4 o'clock in the morning and we start.
Yeah, no. I know that
in the morning, but I meant 9 o'clock in the morning.
That guy asked that like a year and a half ago.
Oh,
so
I thought he asked it yesterday.
No.
Okay.
How did you see that? Like, I need to know the story behind how you responded to a tweet from over a year ago.
I got to be honest with you, Rob. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm responding to some tweets I think from 10 years ago. People might not even be on this earth anymore. I just one day they're in my timeline. I'm like, hey, friend, Eric Von Ruin, 110 to what? I'm like, oh shit, it's the 2019 Nissan Classic. Or so. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like I just look at it and go, hey, I think I'm going to respond to this guy today, and I don't mean it like I'm actually dead serious. Like I have no, it's kind of like Cuss. Like I me and that guy are kind of. We should be brothers almost. Like,
yeah, you guys should, maybe there's a reality show in your guys' future. You and Cuss doing things where you're like his older definitely
brother. The guy who puts together your thumbnails could definitely do a Step Brothers one with Cam and Cuss. I'll tell you that.
That's true. Most definitely. And if you want to watch more of Cam, you can watch him almost every single day at sportsgrid.com. And if you need more Morency, I know he's not on this show. We'd love to have Gabe on, but as Cam said, he has a 4-hour time difference, and we do the show pretty early. So it's probably out of the cards for that to happen. But if you want to see him on...
And he tapes interviews too, Pat. Think about it. Like, we got guys, like great guys who have like Heisman Trophy votes. We can't call him up at midnight and go, hey, how you doing? Like, he's got to like tape that stuff in the afternoon, right? Because it's like... The guy's like 70-something years old. Like a lot of the guests, we don't know. Like that's the thing. We're on till 1 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of these guys aren't just going to hang out till 1 o'clock in the morning if they got children or if they're senior citizens, you know?
Yeah, I won't do a show after like 5 p.m. So I get it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So at sportsgrid.com.
How's your turtle doing, Rob? Is he still around?
Yeah, he's on my left in the office here.
How long do turtles live?
Him and me are going to be in a battle, in a race because
I'm going to bet on the turtle. No offense. I know you're in great shape and thin, but that turtle looks like he's got a lot of life in him.
He's 12 years old and they have a typical lifespan of 40 to 50 years old. So he's got like another 30 years in him. And I think I'm maybe 35, 40 with the diabetes.
Rob versus the turtle, Pat. Longevity bets.
Got to get DraftKings to throw some bets up on that. That'll settle in 40 years.
All right. That'll do it for me. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!